Welcome to the Daily Vibe Casting. Okay, before we settle in, you just have to wrap your head around the sheer scale of the chaos that unfolded, basically while you were sleeping. $285 billion. That is the amount of market cap that just evaporated from traditional SaaS stock software companies, literally overnight. And why? Because a new AI agent dropped that makes the current way we work look, like a relic from the Stone Age. And if that wasn't enough for a Thursday, Elon Musk is now claiming the entire data center industry has exactly 30 months left on Earth before it has to move to orbit. I'm your host, and our mission today is to track the signal in all of that noise.
And I'm here to ask the uncomfortable question. Is today the day the whole efficiency narrative finally breaks the economy? Because when you look at the data we have today, the floor isn't just creaking, it is falling out from under the entire white-collar business model.
Let's dive straight into that lead story. We were calling this apocalypse. It all kicked off with a viral thread from @Minchoi that has just absolutely set the tech timeline on fire. The headline is that Anthropic has released 11 plugins for something called Claude Cowork.
Right, and we need to be really specific here. This isn't just another chatbot update. This is not ChatGPT writing you a limerick.
No, this is what we call an agentic workflow. @Minchoi brace it down. These plugins let the AI automate legal research, sales, marketing, data analysis. But the key phrase, and this is the one that's scaring the market, is without a human in the loop.
Right, and that distinction is everything. Human in the loop means you use the software. You click the buttons, you approve things. Agentic means the software does the job and just, tells you when it's done. Analysts at Jefferies are seeing this, and they are panicking. That's what triggered the $285 billion sell-off.
On the surface, it feels like a massive overreaction to a software update, doesn't it? We've seen automations before. Why is this specific release causing billion-dollar companies to just shed value?
It's not an overreaction if you understand the business model of the last decade. This is the second-order effect we've been warning about. The market isn't reacting to the tech being cool. The market is reacting to a complete business model collapse. Think about SaaS software as a service. The entire economy of Silicon Valley is built on selling seats.
The per-seat pricing model. I know this well. Salesforce sells a seat to a sales guy. HubSpot sells a seat to a marketer.
LexisNexis sells a seat to a lawyer. If you have 50 employees, you buy 50 seats. That's how it works.
Right, it's the recurring revenue engine.
Exactly. But if an agent sits inside the workflow and does the work of the lawyer and the marketer and the sales guy, you don't need 50 different SaaS subscriptions. You don't need the seats because you don't have the humans sitting in them.
So the moat, the defensive advantage of all this traditional software was just the user interface.
The moat was the interface and the workflow friction. That moat is gone. If I can just tell Claude, go analyze these contracts and update the CRM, I don't need to log into the CRM. I don't need its interface. I don't need to pay for a user license for a bot. That revenue goes to zero.
So this isn't just efficiency. It's deflationary tech. It actually deletes revenue from the ecosystem. That $285 billion didn't just move to another company, it just vanished.
Is vendor consolidation disguised as innovation? And for you, listening, this matters. If your company pays for software based on headcount, your CFO is looking at this update and realizing they can cut their software bill in half. And maybe their headcount too.
Well, speaking of headcount, this is where it gets really interesting, or maybe terrifying, depending on where you work. We have a counterpoint from Atishan Goswami that shows the other side of this whole automation loop.
The job hunt.
The job hunt. While Anthropic is killing the corporate workflow, Atishan Goswami is showing off a new Y Combinator-backed agent. It uses tools called Exa AI and BrowserBase to literally operate a web browser. It finds job openings and applies to them on your behalf.
I have to laugh or I'll cry. This is just dark humor at its absolute finest.
It's wild. You have AI agents eliminating the need for employees, and at the same time, you have displaced employees using AI agents to spam apply for the few jobs that are left.
It's a bot versus bot labor market.
Yeah.
And think about the poor recruiter. If there are any human recruiters left, they're going to wake up to 10,000 applications, but 9,990 of them were submitted by a headless browser.
Right. And for anyone who's not a developer, a headless browser is just a browser without the screen. It's a script. It navigates the web at lightning speed, clicking and filling out forms way faster than any human ever could.
It's a machine talking to a machine. So is this efficiency? No. It's a denial of service attack on the hiring market. It breaks the signal. If applying costs zero effort, everyone applies to everything. The noise becomes infinite. This isn't the labor market becoming more efficient, it's the labor market breaking down because the friction that made it work, human effort, is gone.
It just creates this adversarial loop. Recruiters will now need AI to filter the applications sent by AI, and we all just end up with robots interviewing robots while the humans wait for a notification.
And that right there is the definition of a broken system.
Speaking of broken systems, it really feels like we are hitting a ceiling on Earth-based infrastructure. We're hitting a ceiling in the economy with this loop, and apparently we're hitting a ceiling in physics. Which brings us to our macro play of the day.
The pivot to the stars.
We've got a sensational post from @HustleBitch about Elon Musk's latest podcast appearance. He put a literal timestamp on the future.
Musk loves a deadline, usually one that whooshes right by without anyone noticing.
He does. But this claim is very, very specific. He says, Earth-based AI scaling hits a hard wall in 30 months. The quote is, 30 months left. Mark my words. He says the solution is solar power in orbit, which is 5 times more effective than on Earth because, no clouds, no night. He's claiming data centers are moving to space.
Okay, let's pause and connect this to the bigger picture because it sounds like science fiction, but the economics are real. Why is he saying 30 months? Because the power grid is tapped out.
Yeah.
We know this. Northern Virginia, where something like 70% of the world's internet traffic flows through, is effectively out of juice. Ireland is out of juice.
We've seen the reports. Utility companies are telling data center builders, sure, we can hook you up in 2030.
Yeah.
We just can't build transmission lines fast enough.
Exactly. So if Sam Altman wants to build these massive superclusters he's talking about, Earth literally cannot generate the electrons fast enough in the places where the fiber optic cables are.
And speaking of Sam Altman, this connects directly to a post from @SlowDeveloper, quoting Hader. Altman is talking about a capability overhang.
A critical concept. It gets thrown around a lot, but people rarely explain what it means.
Right. Capability overhang basically means the AI models we have right now, like GPT-4o, are actually much smarter than we realize. We just haven't unlocked their full potential yet. But Altman says they are about to get massive upgrades in 2026.
Right. And to run those upgrades, to do the inference, which is the AI actually thinking, you need massive amounts of power. Inference is incredibly energy hungry. If you scale that globally, the grid just melts.
And just to tighten the loop on this, @Collision, that's John Collison from Stripe, he just announced a new season of his podcast, Cheeky Pint. The first guest, Elon Musk. The topic, space GPUs.
There it is. That's the signal right there.
So what does this all mean for the listener? Is Musk just hyping Starship, or is this for real?
Look, I'm always cynical about Musk's timelines. I mean, remember when we were supposed to be on Mars by 2024? Or when full self-driving was a solved problem back in 2016. So, take 30 months with a massive grain of salt. It might be 60 months, it might be 10 years.
But the underlying logic holds.
The logic holds completely. If you're an investor, you need to be looking at this. If Musk is right, the winner of the AI war isn't OpenAI or Anthropic. The winner is the launch provider. It's an infrastructure play. If the only place to put the compute is orbit, and the only way to get to orbit cheaply is Starship, then SpaceX isn't just a transportation company. They become the AWS of the solar system.
That is a staggering thought. The cloud actually becoming, the cloud, or, above the clouds.
Literally. And it changes the geopolitical math entirely.
Yeah.
Data sovereignty becomes orbital sovereignty.
Let's bring it back down to Earth for a moment, specifically to the roads. Because while Musk is looking at Mars, Tesla is dealing with the U.S. Senate right here.
Ah, yes. Regulation versus reality.
We saw a fascinating update from @NickRusPatain. Lars Moravi, who's the VP of Vehicle Engineering at Tesla, was testifying before the Senate Commerce Committee. He was incredibly defensive about their security architecture.
What was the specific argument? Because usually these hearings are just political theater, where senators ask if the Wi-Fi connects to the gas tank.
He was addressing the fear of hacking. He said Tesla's driving controls are in a core-embedded central layer. He claims it is physically isolated from any external access. So you can hack the infotainment screen, change the radio, but you can't hack the brakes or steering. He explicitly said no remote hacks have occurred and even took a shot at other automakers, saying Tesla pays ethical hackers to find bugs while others don't.
It's a very polished corporate narrative. And in a Senate hearing, that's what you expect. We are secure, trust us. But I want to contrast that clean narrative with the messy reality we see on the ground.
You're looking at the footage from at Sawyer Merritt.
Exactly. We have video of a Model Y in unsupervised mode in Austin. And to be fair, the video shows the car pausing for a pedestrian. It looks impressive. It yielded.
It did exactly what it was supposed to do.
It did. But let's look at the context provided in that same thread. The NHTSA reports are cited right there. The incident rate for these fleets is still up to 9 times higher than human drivers in certain scenarios.
Ouch. 9 times. That's a hard number to ignore.
Depending on the driving conditions, yes. So here's the debate. We have the Senate doing security theater, worrying about sophisticated hackers taking over your car like a movie villain. Meanwhile, the actual software, the code driving the car, is still struggling with basic incident rates. We're worried about the car being murdered when we should be worried about the car accidentally driving into a ditch.
It's the difference between theoretical risk, the zero-day exploit, and operational risk, the bad driver scenario.
Precisely. And for you listening, this matters because regulation always trails reality. The Senate is fighting the war of 2015 cybersecurity. The war of 2026 is about autonomous liability and error rates. The politicians are just solving the wrong problem.
Let's pivot to the builders, the people actually writing the code that runs all of this. We have a rapid-fire update on the dev ecosystem, and there is a lot of movement.
The tools are changing faster than the products now.
First up, at GitHub dropped a bomb. Citing their official handle, Claude and OpenAI's codecs are now fully integrated into Copilot Enterprise.
That's huge for corporate dev teams.
It is. The pitch is, you define the intent, and the agents clear the backlog. So you're not just getting code suggestions, you are getting an agent that goes in and fixes bugs while you sleep.
Again, shrinking the human loop. It's the same story as the SaaS apps. Why hire a junior dev to fix bugs if the agent can clear the backlog overnight? It just raises the bar for entry-level engineers significantly.
Then we have at Turku22 talking about Claude Code. They added a new command, Insights. It analyzes your last month of work to tell you how to code better.
See, that I like. That's coaching. That's augmentation, not just replacement. It's like having a senior engineer looking over your shoulder, but, without the judgment.
And maybe the most significant structural change comes from @MeetGranola. They launched something called MCP Model Context Protocol. They're calling it the USB-C for AI.
This is the sleeper hit of the day.
Break that down for us. Why does MCP matter? Protocol sounds boring.
It sounds boring, but it's essential. Think about USB-C. Before that, you had 10 different cables for 10 different devices. A total mess. Right now, your AI apps are siloed just like that. Claude doesn't know what's in your Notion. ChatGPT doesn't know what's in your Slack. You have to copy-paste everything.
Which is terrible. It breaks the flow completely.
MCP lets these apps talk to each other directly. It's the plumbing. It's not sexy, but it's what allows that whole agentic future we talked about to actually happen. Without a standard protocol, agents are deaf and blind to your data. With MCP, the agent can reach into your Slack, grab a file, put it in Notion, and email a summary, all because they share a language.
So it's the glue layer.
It's the glue, and once that glue sets, the speed of automation is going to double.
Now, not everyone is impressed with all the new tools. We have to do a vibe check on design. At Figma launched a new feature, turning raster images, so pixels, into vectors.
Oh, this one.
And just to explain for the non-designers, raster images are like JPEGs made of dots. You zoom in, they get blurry. Vectors are math. You can resize them infinitely. Figma says their AI can now turn the dots into math.
Which is useful. I don't want to dismiss the utility.
It is useful. But at UB Andrew had a very cynical take. He basically said, congratulations, you invented Flash V2 from 1998.
He's not wrong. Look, tech circles love to reinvent the wheel and call it AI. Macromedia Flash had a feature called Trace Bitmap in the late 90s. It did exactly this. It looked at a picture and turned it into lines.
But now it's AI-powered.
Right. It's a good reminder that not everything is a breakthrough. Sometimes it's just a feature we forgot we used to have, just repackaged for $20 a month. It's cool, but let's not pretend it's the discovery of fire. It's Trace Bitmap with a better marketing budget.
Let's zoom out. We've talked markets, space, code. Let's talk about culture and where this tech is actually landing.
The global distribution.
This one surprised me. At Sebi Duj highlighted a stat that Grok XAI's chatbot is the #1 app in Kazakhstan.
I know. The internet is going to insert a Borat joke here. It's inevitable.
But seriously, why Kazakhstan?
No, the signal is real. We tend to be very U.S.-centric. We look at San Francisco adoption rates. But AI adoption is often fastest in markets that the U.S. ignores, or where language barriers have historically kept people out of the global digital economy. Grok has fewer restrictions, and maybe better multilingual support for that region. If Grok is winning Central Asia, that's a massive geopolitical footprint for XAI. It implies that Truth GPT, or whatever Musk calls it, is becoming the default information source for a huge chunk of the world.
It's not just memes and chatbots, though. We have some genuine good news from Biotech. At Y Combinator put out a post about a company called Origin.
This is the stuff that actually matters. This is the antidote to all the doom and gloom.
They're using AI to design DNA switches to cure cancer, specifically to program gene expression.
And this is the counter-argument to this apocalypse. Yes, AI might kill the marketing dashboard. Yes, it might disrupt the job market. But if it also lets us design DNA switches that turn off cancer cells, that is a trade-off I think we all take. It's a reminder that generative AI isn't just for generating tweets or scamming recruiters. It's for generating science. It accelerates the trial and error phase of biology.
And finally, we have to close the news segment with the ultimate vibe check. The escape. At Mumbo Italiano posted a video of Portofino, Italy.
The dream.
The caption was amazing. My ancestors saw this view and decided not to move to New Jersey.
A harsh truth for New Jersey.
The video is just looking at the ocean in Liguria.
Yeah.
And the sentiment in the comments is so palpable.
It connects to everything we've discussed. We're talking about bots firing people, data centers in space, the economy rewiring itself. And at the end of the day, the ultimate luxury isn't the AI. The ultimate luxury is disconnecting from the machine and just looking at the water.
In a world of infinite digital noise, the real scarcity is analog peace.
Well said.
So that brings us to the end. What is your prediction for tomorrow, based on all this chaos?
My prediction connects the dots between the SaaS apocalypse and the cloud plugins. I think we are going to see a major pivot in venture capital immediately. They are going to stop funding B2B SaaS. The era of selling seats is over. We are entering the era of services software.
Explain that distinction. Service as software.
Think about it. Today, you buy accounting software and you pay an accountant to use it. That's two costs. In the future, you don't buy the tool, you buy the outcome. You pay a subscription to an agent that is the accountant.
So I'm not buying the shovel, I'm buying the hole already dug.
Exactly. You don't sell a tool for a human to use. You sell the completed work. The companies that figure out how to sell the outcome rather than the tool will be the next trillion-dollar giants. The rest, they're going to zero.
The era of selling work done. That is a fascinating, if slightly terrifying place to leave it. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Vibecasting. We'll be back tomorrow to see if the sky has actually fallen or if it's just moved to orbit.
Keep your eyes on the stars and your hands on the wheel.
Goodbye, everyone.